The Bible, a book of stories, stories of hope, stories of faith, and few stories are as powerful as the story of Moses. Moses was born in a time of slavery. The Israelites, God's chosen people, were suffering. They needed a leader, they needed a deliverer. But baby Moses was in danger. The Pharaoh, afraid of the growing number of Israelites, ordered all baby boys killed. Moses' mother, desperate to save her son, placed him in a basket and set him adrift in the Nile River. Pharaoh's daughter found the baby. She saw his worth. She raised him as her own. Moses grew up in the palace, unaware of his true heritage and destiny. Years passed. Moses fled Egypt after defending an Israelite slave. He found refuge in the land of Midian. He became a shepherd. He lived a simple life. One day, while tending his flock, Moses saw a strange sight. A bush was on fire, but it was not consumed. Curious, Moses approached the bush, and then he heard a voice. It was God speaking. God gave Moses a mission. He was to return to Egypt. He was to confront Pharaoh. He was to free the Israelites from slavery. Moses was afraid. He felt inadequate, but God promised to be with him. Moses returned to Egypt. He stood before Pharaoh. He demanded the release of his people. Pharaoh refused. He scoffed at Moses and his God. So God sent plagues upon Egypt. Each plague was a powerful demonstration of God's might. Water turned to blood. Swarms of locusts darkened the sky. Boils covered the land. Still, Pharaoh's heart remained hardened. Through it all, Moses remained steadfast. He trusted God. He pleaded with Pharaoh to let his people go. He never lost sight of the hope that God had placed in his heart. The 10th and final plague was the most devastating. God sent the angel of death to pass over Egypt. The firstborn of every Egyptian family would die. But God provided a way of escape for the Israelites. They were to sacrifice a lamb and mark their doorposts with its blood. The angel of death would see the blood and pass over their homes. Pharaoh, finally broken by grief and fear, agreed to let the Israelites go. After centuries of slavery, they were finally free. Section 5, Freedom's Cry. The Exodus begins. The Exodus had begun. Moses, leading the Israelites, embarked on a journey to a new land, a land promised to them by God, a land flowing with milk and honey. Their journey was not easy. They faced dangers. They faced hunger and thirst. They faced doubt and fear. But through it all, God was with them. He provided for them. He guided them. Section 6. A sea of hope, a path through the waves. Pharaoh, his heart hardened once more, pursued the fleeing Israelites. He trapped them at the edge of the Red Sea. The Israelites were terrified. They had nowhere to go. But Moses, filled with God's power, raised his staff. The sea parted. A dry path appeared. The Israelites walked through the sea on dry ground. When Pharaoh's army followed, the waters crashed down upon them. The Israelites were safe. They had witnessed God's power. They had experienced his deliverance. Section 7. Wilderness wanderings, trials and trust. The journey to the Promised Land was long and arduous. The Israelites wandered in the wilderness for 40 years. They faced many challenges. They grumbled against Moses. They doubted God's faithfulness. But God never abandoned them. He provided manna from heaven to feed them. He brought water from rocks to quench their thirst. He gave them laws to guide them. Moses remained their faithful leader. He interceded for them before God. He reminded them of God's promises. He encouraged them to trust in God's plan. Section 8. A glimpse of the promise, the legacy of Moses. Moses never entered the Promised Land, but from atop Mount Nebo, God gave him a glimpse of its beauty. He saw the fulfillment of God's promise. He knew that his people would finally find rest. Moses died, his mission complete. He had led his people to freedom. He had shown them God's power. He had left them with a legacy of faith and courage. Section 9. Unwavering Faith, Timeless Inspiration. The story of Moses is a story of hope. It reminds us that God hears the cries of the oppressed. He sees their suffering, and he raises up leaders to deliver them. Moses' journey teaches us the importance of faith. Faith in God's power, faith in his promises. Even when we face challenges, we can trust that God is with us. He will never leave us or forsake us. Like Moses, we are called to be leaders. We may not lead nations, but we can lead our families. We can lead our communities. We can lead by our example. We can make a difference in the world.